Welcome to the Stronger Than Steel podcast with your host, Austin Davidson and John Keir, talking Steelers all the time. Now, here's Austin and John.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Stronger Than Steel podcast. Today is Season 3, Episode 71, and we're going to be going over the conference championships. Obviously, we're going to be seeing the Rams and the Patriots at the Super Bowl, and that was both my least likely Super Bowl, and for the second year in a what I thought would be the least likely to occur, and for the second year in a row, the one I wanted the least coming out of the conference championships. It really does stink seeing the Patriots back there. I would have been okay with the Rams winning if the Chiefs won, but like this whole Super Bowl sucks to me, and we're gonna get into that next week as John will return for the Super Bowl episode. He is not joining me here today, but he will be back for the next episode. But anyway, let's hop into this episode, and we're first going to start with some NFL news, and that's there's some big AFC North news. The Ravens have announced a 4-year contract extension for head coach John Harbaugh. The year started where it seemed like both sides were going to part, and now towards the end they went on like a 4-game winning streak, obviously making the playoffs in the process and winning the AFC North. And everything changed. John Harbaugh and them have been close, getting closer. It's been like announced for like a month that they were likely going to get this done. And there's no details on the cash amount on it, but obviously it's probably good for the Ravens to have some stability for their young quarterback. And I think John Harbaugh is a pretty good coach, so I think that was the right move for them. But that's really all the NFL news I had to talk about. I'm going to leave any Steelers news to the next episode when John gets back. But now, I'm going to hop into the less controversial game first. And I guess you could say both games are controversial, but I think everyone knows which one is still being talked about more. So let's hop into Patriots at Chiefs. The Patriots beat the Chiefs 37-31. I didn't get any of my bold predictions in this one. And as for my X-Factor, Sony Michel was a good pick. I felt like he was really solid for the Patriots and a big reason they won. Obviously, he got 2 of their touchdowns. He wasn't super effective on the ground, but he got a lot of their yards. Then for defense, I picked Trey Flowers, and it was a solid pick. It wasn't the worst pick I could have done, but Vinoy would have been the best pick because Vinoy just went off this game. But really, this game was... The Chiefs started off way too slow, and that's really what killed them. The Patriots were up 14-0 at one point, and the Chiefs weren't able to get anything going. It was just not working. It took them a very long time to get a first down, and this was coming from a team that, like during the regular season, just was unstoppable on offense. And this is just what the Patriots do. The Patriots in the postseason are going to take away what you're best at, and they're going to challenge you to do something else. So, they decided, usually it's only a player, but they decided, all right, we're going to take away your offense. So let's see if your defense can step up. And the defense was abysmal. The defense for the Chiefs was absolutely terrible. Obviously, the offense kicked in eventually, but the linebacker play from the Chiefs, horrendous. The defensive line play, horrendous. Not only did they finish with 0 sacks this game, they finished with 0 tackles for a loss. Just think about that. They weren't able to take down Sony Michel, Rex Burkhead, or Tom Brady back there like once. And that is absolutely terrible. I came into this game saying that Chris Jones was one of the most underrated players in the NFL. I think I said he was the most underrated, and he was able to do nothing. His stat sheet is 1 pass defensed. It's just absolutely terrible. They only hit Brady 4 times. Granted, Brady just throws so quick. Joey Bosa, it was kind of funny. Excuse me. Joey Bosa last week was like, you need to stop throwing so fast. He does throw fast because a lot of his throws are checkdowns. But he dropped back 46 times. You're telling me they couldn't get 1 sack with Chris Jones couldn't do... Chris Jones couldn't even get a tackle. That's really what lost them this game for their defense. It's just their defensive line played like absolute doo-doo. And that's really it. The offensive line of the Patriots work them. And I think I'm ready to take back what I said about the Patriots earlier in the year, that I thought their offensive line was overrated. I am willing to say they're top 5 now, because they haven't allowed Tom Brady to be sacked in 2 weeks. And that was against the Chargers pass rush, and now the Chiefs pass rush, which was the number one sack defense coming out of the regular season, obviously tied with the Steelers. So I'm willing to say that this offensive line is more legit than I thought. And they're pretty good at run blocking. I mean, they didn't have the highest average in this game. I think they averaged 3.7 as a team. But, I mean, I think it's closer to 3.8, because if you take away Tom Brady's one rush for -1 yard to knee out the game, I think it's closer to that. But still, man, they allowed 4 rushing touchdowns. And you're not gonna win the game if you're not being forced to really, I don't even know how to put it. Like, the Chiefs just got worked. Is just the best way to say it. They got beat on every level. Tom Brady completed 30 for 46, 348. I mean, they got 2 interceptions, and that almost saved them the game. I mean, if they didn't get those interceptions, this would have been a blowout. But it's just, they really couldn't do anything other than the turnovers part right. That was exactly it. They couldn't cover good. They couldn't tackle good. There was no pressure and obviously no sacks. Just absolutely terrible showing for them. And I mean, the Kansas City offense tried battling back. Patrick Mahomes was 295, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. It just wasn't enough for the slow start. I mean, Damian Williams went off this game. He wasn't that great as a rusher, but I mean, he had 5 catches for 66 yards, with 2 touchdowns, 2 receiving touchdowns, and he also had a rushing touchdown. So he was a big difference maker in this one. And just not very good. just, everything else was not very good. I think the big key, I made Tyreek Hill my X factor. He had 1 reception for 42 yards. Granted, 1 reception for 42 yards, it's a big reception, but that is not what Tyreek Hill was used to doing against the Patriots. He got completely shut down in this game. And whatever the Patriots did, a lot of teams are probably taking notes, because no other team could really stop Tyreek Hill. And even the Patriots the first time couldn't. So it's just incredible that the Patriots held him to 1 catch. He was targeted 3 times, 1 catch. Like, most of their destruction came from Sammy Watkins and Damian Williams, who counted for 9 catches for, I think, 170. Yeah, 9 catches for 170 together. And 2 touchdowns, obviously, like I said, coming from Damian Williams. But that's really it. Like, it's just, the Patriots were also gift wrapped the win a little bit. We obviously saw a pretty bad roughing the passer call on Chris Jones. It was very weak. The referee couldn't even see it. He just had to call it to. He couldn't see it, and he called it just because. He called it because what if it was a roughing the passer? But it was a terrible call. And the refs were bad in this game. The refs were bad in both championship games on this past Sunday, but just really does suck. The Patriots, I kind of pooped on the Chiefs a lot. They actually did keep this close. They almost did win it. They almost did battle back. They scored 24 points in the fourth quarter to force overtime, and they probably could have won if they won the coin toss, which is still controversial. Obviously, that overtime rule kind of stinks. Like, if you're a team that's built around your offense and not your defense, sort of like the Steelers and sort of like the Chiefs, if you lose the coin toss, you're in trouble. You're in trouble. They get to bet on your defense, and that's what happened. So I will say that the Chiefs did try doing their best to battle back, but they just couldn't stop Julian Edelman. They couldn't stop Rob Gronkowski. James White was doing his thing. Just too much. I truly believe that the Chiefs' slow start and their just defense's inability to force any pressure on Tom Brady is why they lost this game. But that really wraps up this game for me. I actually didn't go over my Chiefs X factors that I picked. Yeah, I did allude to it, but I picked Tyreek Hill, and he had 1 big catch, and that was it. I probably should have went Damian Williams or Sammy Watkins looking back, and then for my defensive one, I picked Chris Jones and 1 pass defense, and that was it. And I mean, he got a penalty that wasn't his fault, but it did kind of put a nail in the coffin. But their whole defense was trash. I guess Sorensen was the best pick for the X factor going in, as he had all his tackles, and and his one interception, but yeesh, it was a bad showing from the defense. But now let's go to the more controversial game. We're gonna go to the Rams beating the Saints 26-23. I didn't get any of my bold predictions, and as for my X factors, I picked C.J. Anderson for the Rams on offense. I should have went Brandon Cooks. For defense, I picked Aaron Donald. Donald was a solid pick, but Sue was the better one in my opinion. Then for Saints, I picked Alvin Kamara, and I do think Alvin Kamara was still the best pick, even though he sucked at rushing. He still led the team in receiving. Then I picked Cameron Jordan on defense. I think Mario Davis was the move there. But now let's get into this game. This game was an interesting one. I'm going to skip straight to the end and talk about how that pass interference call was missed. That was absolutely terrible. I was so furious after that call, after there was no flag. Robey-Coleman literally tackled that dude. He tackled him. Broad daylight. Nothing. I get mad thinking about it. Like, it just doesn't really make sense how the ref didn't see anything. Like, the ball wasn't even close to being there yet. Nicole Roby didn't turn around, and then on top of it, he just got fined because he went helmet to helmet. There was 2 fouls on the play on Nicole Robey-Coleman, and the ref didn't see it. It really pissed me off, and it really brought up the questions of, like, we need to revolutionize the game. There needs to be, maybe add another referee. I think me and John are going to talk about this on the next episode, but maybe add another referee to look on the video to tell people to pick up flags. Maybe adding a second flag, like a green or red flag. Not red. Reddish challenge. Green or blue flag for, like, a challenging on a penalty on a spot foul or something. Or it's something needs to be done, because this was absolutely terrible. If that got called, it would have ended the game for the Saints. But don't get me wrong, though. The Saints should have outplayed the referees. It doesn't matter. It really, at the end of the day, does not matter. Because maybe Drew Brees shouldn't have thrown an interception in overtime. Like, that I'm basically going the same route as a Steelers-Chargers game, where, yeah, the refs blew, but you should be outplaying that. You shouldn't have let the team battle back. You should have just won the game straight up through the pain and misery, because every team goes through those hard ref things. And, I mean, some people find solace in this. Some Steelers fans, after the bad Joe Hayden PI that got called, one Alvin Kamara that led to straight up to bringing the Saints to the 1-yard line and probably cost the Steelers the game. I don't find solace in that. Others, like other fans, find solace that the Saints got so lucky with ref calls in 2009 that this is just karma for 10 years ago. I don't like that either. It doesn't make me feel good. But I just want better refs, man. I want a game. I want to watch a game and feel like the better team won. And I mean, the team. I don't want outside forces determining who wins the game. Like, this was ridiculous. It was just really bad, and I think changes are coming because of it. But let's get more into the actual game now that I've spent half this time talking about the refs and how bad they were. Really, it looked exactly like the Eagles game almost. The Eagles-Saints game, I mean. The Saints started off 14-0, and then the Rams made a gutsy call to go for it on a fake punt, and the Rams started battling back. They started actually getting into the game, and they turned it on from there, and they were able to complete the comeback. So it was literally exactly like the Saints-Eagles game, except they got a little bit of help from the refs, but enough beating the dead horse. Really, the Rams' offense was unimpressive. I'm going to be honest with you, and something interesting has popped up. C.J. Anderson was used more than Todd Gurley, and Todd Gurley was not injured. He swears by it. He swears it would have been on the injury report if he was. And he had 4 touches for 10 yards. He got a touchdown, but C.J. Anderson got 16 carries for 44 yards. Like, if you find value in running backs at this point, if you want to pay running backs, I question everything about you. I've been fighting with people over and over again. That now, in my eyes, there's no reason to draft a running back in rounds 1 or 2, and there is no reason to pay a running back. You need to draft offensive line and pay offensive line, because if you have a good offensive line, it doesn't matter what running back you throw back there. They could be old, they could be big and just slow and be hefty like CJ Anderson, and they could still go off. I mean, again, he didn't really go off in this game, but leading up to this playoffs, he was doing good, and they opted to use him over Todd Gurley, and he had a better rushing average on more rushes. So take that as you will. I'm going to forever argue that running backs have almost no value in this league, with how long they last, with how easily they are to replace, with how many gems there are in the later rounds. James Conner, Alvin Kamara, for example, Philip Lindsay, undrafted free agent, just no reason to draft a running back high and no reason to pay one, because you see what happened to the Rams. They're screwed now. They paid Todd Gurley, and they didn't even use him for their biggest playoff game ever. Of Todd Gurley, while they had Todd Gurley. But still, they were able to win. I highly give it to their defense. I think their defense balled out in this game. They got 2 sacks, and they got 6.5 tackles or lost total. And then, obviously, Josh Johnson got that big interception in overtime and let them win. But really, on paper, it still looks like the Saints should have won. You look at like the comparisons. I don't know. I watching the game, I still feel like the Saints should have won. I felt like the Saints were in control. I felt like the Saints defense was playing solid. They were doing okay. Not the best, but they were shutting down the run pretty well. And I don't know. Honestly, my commentary for this game isn't that good, because I'm still stuck on the ref thing. I will say, though, something I like about the Saints, and that they use it effectively, they know how to use their backup running back. Like, when the Ravens were using Joe Flacco and Lamar Jackson at the same time, it was ineffective. The Saints, with 2 quarterbacks on the field, are actually kind of effective. They actually know how to use it, and Taysom Hill got a receiving touchdown in this game. Taysom Hill is something else. I'm excited to see what they do with him in the future, him and Teddy Bridgewater, but regardless, I really don't have much else to say about this game. This game felt like ref ball to me. So, like, I don't have much to say other than just complaining about that one call. So really, it's all I'm gonna move on, and just, we got the Patriots and the Rams in this Super Bowl. And I mean, I really don't know many people that are excited. Maybe Rams fans. I know Saints fans aren't happy. Chiefs fans aren't happy. Anyone in the AFC that's a fan of anyone other than the Patriots really isn't happy. So it really is what it is. But that's going to wrap up this episode of the Stronger Than Steel podcast. Give us a comment, give us a like, check out our social media pages in the description below. And everybody, have a good night.
You have been listening to Stronger Than Steel podcast. Thank you for joining us today, and don't forget to check out our website listed in the description below.